What I remember most about Acworth at that time of growing up is I participated in sporting activities here. I played baseball from the time I was like 5. I started playing football in our youth organization at 7. So our recreation activities were focused there. Something that's important for me that inspired me was my parents' involvement in those organizations. I'm a big believer in people's actions. My parents inspired me. They did a lot of things that I have gotten paid in a career to do. You know, I watched them serve in board meetings. I watched them organize leagues. I saw my dad mowing the grass at the fields when the city didn't do those type of things. I saw my parents clean restrooms at the park. I remember leaving the house as soon as I got home from school with my dad to go line and drag the ball field because that's what the volunteers did.
What was your vision for the department when you took over in 2005?
I think for me, it was to be innovative and different. And that's something that we talked to our team a lot about. The good part about kind of driving to that vision is I didn't have a lot of experience, right? I hadn't worked in another department, so I didn't know how things were going, always the way things have always been done. On the negative side of things, I never worked anywhere else. So I didn't have the experience, but it kind of gave us a blank slate. All those things really come back to relationships. And, I was taught that relationships are like bank accounts. You have to make a lot of small deposits over time because at some point, especially in the world of government, you're going to have to make a withdrawal from those relationships. But I think the community resource part, and something else that drives us in our core values is we may not be able to get you the answer or the solution that you need, but because of our connections in the community, if somebody calls us, we may not be able to say yes to that, but we may be able to either get them in the direction of yes, or we may be able to get them to the people that can't help them.
Talk about Horizon Field. I think that's a pretty neat story. How did that come about?
It's the beautiful thing about the community that we live in is it all started with a conversation. And we asked the question, why don't we have programs for individuals with special needs? And we just started talking and we were looking at space and we went as far as to have a plan of this dedicated area all by itself. And there were communities that had come before us. Peachtree City, Alpharetta had a field, and basically what it is it's a baseball field with a synthetic rubber surface that accommodates wheelchairs and walkers. And they had kind of gone before us. So we started listening to those other communities and then we're like, all right, let's just give it a shot and see if there's a need here. And there was an article in the Merida Daily Journal at that time, and it had talked about that there were like 15,000 children in Cobb County school systems with special needs. And as we have done over the last 20 years, we recognized a gap. And what we tried to do with that was fill a gap. So literally within a couple weeks, we partnered with a radio station, Kicks 101.5 at the time, to get some marketing out there. We went to just a couple of our local schools and the special education teachers, and we said, hey, in one day, we just want to do something. We want to have on our regular baseball fields, we want to invite our special needs athletes out to the fields and participate in a one-day game exhibition. And I'll never forget this day. It was on our regular fields. We have 4 fields that are all kind of knitted together in a hub there. And literally in 2 to 3 weeks of promoting this to the school, we had like 62 kids sign up. Then the even amazing part is we went to Coach Queen at North Cobb High School and some of the other surrounding schools and the football teams, and we said, hey, we need buddies for this day. And all the high schools showed up. We had church volunteers out there. And that day, the light bulb, the switch went on. We're like, we got to do this. We got to figure out what this looks like long term. We started a fundraising effort. It was a public-private partnership. It just steamrolled, the snowball effect. And before you know it, we, in 2009, I believe in April, we opened the facility. And it has been one of the best things that we have ever done in this community. The way it brings our local schools and nonprofits and our volunteers in the community together, and it's sports at its purest form.
Tell me how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected Parks and Recreation the last several months?
There's no file folder for COVID-19, right? Like, we can go back and check some history of things, and we've experienced a lot over the 20 years that we've been a department, but there's not a lot of, there isn't that file folder that lays out the strategy for how to deal with this. So it was really neat to see our people step up. So maybe you weren't running programs, but maybe you were helping collect fees at a gate at a park. Maybe normally you worked at the community center, but since it was closed, you were out in the field helping the teammates get grass cut. You may normally answer a phone, but you then were cleaning contact surfaces. It was really neat to see the way our team pulled together, and it's really neat to see the innovation of them pulling out of this too. To see us doing virtual classes with senior citizens because they fall within the 65 and up and the vulnerable population. To see our team doing exercise classes through the computer. So it's been a tough experience, but I think it's going to be an experience that just makes us way better moving forward. We're going to be more efficient. We're going to be more creative. Innovation comes out of scarcity. You know, you learn how to do more with less. So as tragic and as tough as some of these times are, we are going to be better for it coming out of this. And this oral history program is incredible. You and I were talking about before we got on, is that one day, you know, my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, people way beyond that in our world are going to be able to look back and see, be able to know my story. Like, I wish that I had those opportunities for my family. And, you know, the oral history program we had was great, that, you were part of that. They were in books and they sat on shelves, and now people can visit that depot and press the button and listen to, right now, over 60 people tell their stories of Acworth history, and it's real and it's live. So it's really neat to be a part of that process too, and all the improvements that have been made there, and the development of Logan Farm Park too, that kind of squeezes in between a community center and this redevelopment that we did, and just all of that. It was just incredible.